Greetings, fellow masters. It is I, the bell tolls. It's time for a video I've been putting off for a while now. How could I approach a material with a node as strong as this? Yes, I'm talking about Great Knight metals. If you didn't build up a huge surplus of these by farming your soul away during Narrowfest, then you have a hefty grind in store. At the time of this video, in JP you need a little under 1200 of them to sustain the servants who need them. As you can see on the chart, not many servants require them, but the ones who do generally need a lot. So if you aren't sitting on a stack of 500 night metals, you might be starting to sweat a little. Or maybe you've been sweating since they were introduced, because besides Narrowfest, they weren't very widely available. In any case, grab a towel and wipe those fears away. Today, we're learning how to farm Great Knight metals. First and foremost, let's cover the events this year that will provide you some metals. As usual, timestamp if you want to skip this. The next event this year for Knights metals is Guda Meiji Ishin, where there are 20 in the event shop. There are also several nodes that drop metals, and they're from the Oda Bakufu faction. The first battle and third battle nodes on the Oda Bakufu side can drop metals, and then the 10 AP, 30 AP, and first 40 AP nodes of the Epilogue free quest can drop them. You probably want to stick to the 40 AP one for the best drop rate. The next event is Seraph, where you can get 10 medals from mission rewards, and that looks like it's it. After that, there's the Chaldea Summer Memory rerun, which has 20 in the shop. Again, no nodes. Def Jail Summer Escape, there's another 20 in the event shop, and teams Fran, Raiko, and Helena have nodes for them in round 4. And it looks like the 4th underground area is a static node that drops them? I hope that's how that works. Next is that? Could it be? Ladies and gentlemen, lottery alert! We have a lottery alert! Yes, you heard that right. Narrowfest comes back another year to save the day. Every box you open will contain 2 Great Knight medals, and on top of that, 30 AP for the qualifiers, and the second 40 AP in the main match drops them. Honestly, if you're patient, you could just save up your apples until then and farm yourself to victory. Who needs regular free quests when you've got a lottery? If you can't get your fill on medals during Narrowfest, there's always the mega huge Pumpkin Village rerun, where you can farm them in the pyramid nodes. Lastly, Great Battle at Himeji Castle offers several nodes for night medals. They are Guest Room, Prayer Room, Grand Stairway, Warrior's Retreat, Double Doors, Armory, and East Grand Pillar. I'm not sure which has the best drop rate, so it'll take some further research down the road. Tallying that all up, you have a guaranteed 70 night medals from events. Although this one spreadsheet I found says 80, but I couldn't find where the other 10 from Seraph came from, so it's 70 or 80. That still leaves quite a few to be farmed, so let's get on with it. The best AP per medal node is Royal Castle in Camelot, to no one's surprise. It has a pretty decent 37% drop rate, but you'll need to work for it. Confused? The wave composition will make things clear. Wave 1 starts off strong with 2 huge Enforcement Knights rocking 72.5k health pools. They're sabers, along with the rest of the node. Wave 2 doesn't pull any punches either, throwing another 3 Enforcement Knights with slightly higher 76.3k health pools. Lastly, our final obstacle is a Shadow Gawain with 204,000 health. All in all, this node needs you to throw around 500,000 damage at it to fully clear. Just how are we going to do that? This can be difficult to clear even for a well-equipped player, but surely there has to be a way. Well, let's roll in the F2P/cheap-to-play comp. I was actually pretty surprised by how well this worked out, but it does have a few caveats. First, you want to friend Merlin with his first and third skills at level 9 or 10. Every bit of damage boost matters here because your servants need to hit pretty hard to clear the waves effectively. Secondly, if your Kid Gil isn't at least NP3, wave 2 is going to be a bad time. You'll probably be face carding even more than we already have to, but we'll get into that. However, if you don't have a high NP Kid Gil, you can swap in Nobunaga. While she doesn't have an attack buff, her NP will naturally hit harder as she should be NP5. Now let me explain how this works. I'll start with the Mystic Code, which actually doesn't matter too much. You can use Anniversary Blonde, the default Chaldea, or even Plug Suit. As long as they're a decently high level, their attack buff should work all the same. No matter what, you'll be buffing Kid Gil with whichever buff the Mystic Code provides, so don't worry too much. Our first servant is none other than Arash, who is a perfect fit for this node. He has class advantage, a battery, and a super hard hitting NP that'll swap Merlin in for free. Even with no damage buffs, he'll still nearly one-shot any of the Enforcement Knights. Next up is Kid Gil, who we're using for his AoE Buster NP. While his NP isn't as potent as his adult counterpart, Gate of Babylon still does respectable damage. With the buffs we give him, it'll hit even harder and likely one-shot the second wave. Make sure you give him a damage buffing CE like Halloween Princess to squeeze as much DPS from his NP as you can. Lastly is Uriel, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, who really surprised me. I don't know if any other damage NPs are like this, but Uriel seems to have a unique quirk where her NP does the same damage no matter what level it is. Whether it's NP1 or NP5, it always does 1200% damage. The scaling comes in when our target is male, where it'll scale from 150 to 250% bonus damage. She's an absolute male slayer, and since our target on wave 3 is a Shadow Gawain, she'll put out some monstrous damage. For added effect, give her a damage boosting CE. In this case, I'm using Holy Night Supper. The strategy for this node isn't too complex, which is good. We want to farm metals as simply as possible. For wave 1, your goal is to generate NP. Arash needs 80% for his battery to top him off. Kid Gil only needs 80% as well because Merlin's first skill will get him to 100%. Uriel has her own battery which starts at 17% at level 1, and combined with Merlin's 20% charge, she only needs to be at 63% by the time you clear the wave. Even without initial NP from CEs, this is quite doable. So start by just building NP off of this first wave of knights. Use Arch Chains, and be sure to use Kid Gil's NP gain buff to help him get to 80%. Don't worry about damage, because these knights won't do all that much to your archers and they'll take 4 turns to get their NPs. From doing test runs, I averaged around 3 turns to get my NP levels where they needed to be. Once everyone's charged up, just use Arash's NP. Buster cards from the other 2 should finish this wave off. Now we're into wave 2, where Merlin comes out. This is the time to dump all your attack buffs onto Kid Gil. Dreamlike Charisma, Hero Creation, Kid Gil's own Charisma, and then the attack buff for whichever mystic code you're using. After buffing, just fire off Gate of Babylon. Any survivors can be cleaned up with face cards. For the third and final wave, it's Uriel's time to shine. If you need it, use her first skill, Vampirism, to get her to 100%. After that, pop her arts buff and let Gawain have it. At NP5, she'll almost always one-shot him. It's incredibly satisfying to watch. If she is an NP5, just face card him the rest of the way down. He won't last very long against your archers. Overall, I think this is a pretty clean method to take down this imposing node. It took me 6 to 7 turns on average during testing, but if you have more or less initial NP charge, those numbers could change. Now then, let's move on to the Midcourt comp. As you can see, the comp is mostly the same, we just swapped out the CEs. Arash has Imaginary Element now so he can NP immediately, and Uriel has a K-scope for the same reason. Instead of Merlin, we have Waver so we can get Kid Gil to 100% without even trying. The strategy is mostly the same as well. Wave 1, just use Arash's battery and stall the wave. You'll probably still need the face card here, but this wave should only take 2 turns max. You can also pop Kid Gil's party attack buff here, as it lasts 3 turns and might give Arash just enough damage to one-shot these 2 knights. For wave 2, you want to use your Waver buffs and then hit Kid Gil with the 30% charge so he can NP. You still want to use his own attack buff, and whatever attack buff your Mystic Code has, he should still be able to clear this wave just fine. Wave 3 is exactly the same. Use the arts buff from Uriel and then hit Gawain super hard. Without a high level K-scope, this probably won't one-shot, but it'll still do enough damage that a Uriel Brave Chain can take him out. This comp is definitely faster, and should consistently take 4 turns to clear. Last, but certainly not least, our Whale comp. The big changes here are swapping Kid Gil for Ishtar, who, as a 5-star, has almost double Kid Gil's base attack, in addition to having a massive 50% battery and 2 damage buffs. We also have a K-scope on Arash for an easy NP, and a super scope on Uriel so we don't need to do anything but click her NP on wave 3. For the first wave, use all 3 of Ishtar's buffs, then pop Arash's battery and use his NP. The damage buff from Ishtar should have him one-shot the wave. Ishtar's mana burst will activate for wave 2, and Merlin will swap into the field. Use Dreamlike Charisma and Hero Creation on Ishtar, and she'll clean up wave 2 without an issue. In fact, all these buffs are probably overkill, so you can experiment and see which ones you don't actually need to use. The last wave is the same song and dance we've been doing. Use Uriel's arts buff and then fire that NP. This is an easy 3-turn clear. So there you have it. 3 different comps for farming Knights medals at Royal Castle. Hopefully you'll be able to put one of these teams together and start grinding out those materials. As always, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't heard, Shinjuku has an official release date of February 24th. I'll do my best to knock out some of the farming videos for that singularity, as it has several nodes that are upgrades to several materials. And of course, it finally offers a permanent location to farm hearts, which I think most of us need. If you want, do that YouTube stuff such as liking, subscribing, and sharing. I'll still be making videos all the same. So, farewell for now, fellow masters. May your farming be bountiful, and may the bell never toll for you. Until next time.